This podcast explores the spiritual and metaphysical world through the experiences and opinions of the host and those interviewed, and therefore should not necessarily be seen as direct endorsement or personal advice to our listeners. We encourage you to use your own discretion, judgment, and intuition regarding anything you learn of through this show.
Greetings, listeners. Welcome to Let's Get Metaphysical. I'm your host, Renata Maniaci.
In this episode, Ren interviews animal spirit talker Lynn Schuster.
Lynn Schuster is a telepathic animal communicator, intuitive, Reiki master teacher, and an artist. Her mission is to help strengthen the bond between animals and their human families. It's important to her to create a safe environment to connect, communicate, and advocate the needs, wants, and desires for both animals and their guardians, guiding animals and people in creating huge shifts in their lives on a deep, soulful, and cellular level. As a telepathic animal communicator, Lynn Schuster has the ability to hear what the animals have to say and is able to help strengthen the bond and relationships between animals and their human families. Through a meditative process, she hears and senses what the animals would like to tell us. She is able to speak to all animals, including those who have died. She helps people connect with their animals, encouraging love and healing for the highest good of all. Lynn is a visionary and mediator. She inspires people to see, feel, and believe that they all can indeed communicate with their animals, guides, and angels. She is passionate about helping all species, both animal and human, to transform themselves or their situations into what they dream they could be. I first heard about Lynn through my mother, actually, because my mom and Lynn are longtime friends. So Lynn is in Wisconsin, and I have wanted to have a session with her for myself, for personal reasons, for the past few years, and it was never the right timing until this past August when I was home visiting my family. I had one of the most incredible sessions I've ever had in my life with Lynn. This session was concerning my dog, my childhood dog, who I had from age 9 to 19. And it just blew me wide open and enabled a deep, deep level of healing that I needed to come from that relationship. And I've known that I've needed for the last 12, how old am I? 12 years, and we had the session before the interview. So we had the session, I knew what it felt like, it was incredible, and then we went on to the interview, and this interview is just fascinating and amazing and is real life. I experienced this, and I think Lynn is an incredible healer and communicator. I hope you enjoy this interview as much as I did. So, are you ready? Then let's get meta. Hello, everybody. Today I'm here with Lynn Schuster, a dear friend of my mother's and becoming a quick friend of mine. Lynn is an animal spirit talker, and that is what we are going to talk about today. Hello, Lynn. Thank you so much for being with me and letting me interview you today.
Oh, thanks, Ren. I'm so happy to be here. It's going to be great. I'm
Yes.
so excited.
And thank you for letting us do this in your beautiful backyard here in Door County, Wisconsin. I'm home, everybody. Before we get into the first question, I just want to share that just before we're doing this interview, I had my first session with Lynn, and I'm a little emotional from it. This just happened, so I'm still processing it. But if you hear me with some emotion or some sniffles, I'm still coming off of that wonderful experience that I'm going to talk more about in the bonus content for this episode on Patreon. So thank you so much for what you've already given me today.
My pleasure. Thank you.
It really means a lot. So Lynn, I start out all of my interviews with the question, do you have a metaphysical experience that you would like to share with our listeners today?
Oh, yeah, gosh, there's so many. I think I'll share one of my favorite animal communication stories because it showed me that what I do is real and that we're all connected. I had one time a few years back, a client called me from western Wisconsin, and she was with her horse, and they were trying to load her horse into the trailer, and the horse Molly would not go on that trailer. And Molly had been at her farm for about a year and loaded perfectly to come to her house, but now she wouldn't get on the trailer, and everybody was all sweaty and foamy, and it was just a really fearful situation for all. So I asked Molly, I told her who I was and asked her, what, if I could help her, what is the fear? And she was afraid that her person was sending her back to the farm from whence she came. She didn't like it there. It was scary there. And I said, by no means are they sending you back there. In reality, they want to take you to the fair and show you off. She has a daughter, a teenage daughter, so they were going to show her in the halter class. And so what I did with Molly was I imagined I was sitting in Door County and she was in western Wisconsin, and I was sitting with my eyes closed, imagining that Molly and I were getting on the trailer and that her person was driving. We drove around the country block and came home, and Molly got off the trailer and went and had her dinner. And we did that several times so that she knew that she was coming home, that this was her home. And the last time we did this in my mind's eye, we went to the fairground, and I showed her that she would load off the trailer and go in the halter class, and that her girl would be so proud of her, and it was going to be so much fun, and there was going to be other horses there. So we did that a little bit and got her back on the trailer and went home and took her out of the trailer, put her in her stall, and had dinner. And so all this took probably 15 or 20 minutes. The next morning, I got a call from the woman that we had worked with, and she said that Molly loaded on the trailer immediately, walked right straight on that trailer. They went to the fair and the halter class, and she actually placed because she knew what she was going there for. They didn't expect her to place or get a ribbon. They just wanted her to have the experience. And so she came in second or third above horses that had been there before. So yeah, it was just a really beautiful experience to show me and them that what I do works. And I always tell people that we're all connected that way. We all have this. We all have this muscle. We all are able to connect with each other telepathically.
That is an incredible story that touches my heart, just given what the session that I just went through too. And wow, I mean, it's so useful.
Mm-hmm.
It's so, well, let's get into that. Lynn, what is an animal spirit talker, and how does what you do work?
So I always tell people I'm a communicator. I'm a telepathic communicator. I'm not a mind reader. I only receive information that you and the animals are willing to share with me, just like the physical conversation that we're having now. So the more information that I have prior to our session, the deeper I usually can go, because I know a little bit about you, just like you and I. The more often that we talk, the better we'll get to know each other, the deeper our conversations can go. So the way I start my sessions is with a photograph of the animal. If people sign up online to have a session with me, I ask for them to fill out a pre-session questionnaire so I know a little bit about them. And then I have their photograph in front of me. I visualize their photograph. I state their name and my intention. My intention is to speak with Molly. And I visualize her in my mind's eye as the photograph. And when I see her animated in my mind's eye or moving, I know I have a connection. And from there, I usually let the animals know who I am, why I'm there. It's like you don't walk up to somebody on the street and go, "Hey!"
Right.
You politely ask, would you like to have a conversation? And so from there, sometimes they're very willing and sometimes not so much, but mostly very willing. And if they're not willing, I will share Reiki. I'm a Reiki master teacher also. If they don't really want to talk to me, I share love. It's all about love and bringing forth the love. And so I really feel that all of us can do this. It's a matter of being mindful and noticing and opening our hearts to it. just having an open mind. I do a lot of teaching. I do teach people, and everybody that's been in my classes had a good experience. So, yeah, everybody is able to speak with the animals and feel confident that that was real.
Wow.
That really happened for them.
I just want to touch back really quick for our listeners. If you don't know, Reiki is an energetic healing modality that people use their hands to help facilitate healing in others in their energy field and in their body. So you teach people how to speak to animals, and you were taught how to speak to animals before you. Tell us a little bit about that. Did you have an inkling you could do this, or did you see the class or the person? Like, how did you get from not speaking to animals to speaking to animals?
When I was a little girl, I knew how to do it, but I didn't have anybody to talk to about it. And I thought I was a little bit crazy. I didn't know that was real, and so I shut it off. I remember turning it off. I remember I think I was about 7 years old and just turned it off, or turned out like turning down the volume on a radio.
Right.
And I was in my 30s, I think. So I've been doing this work now for 15 years or so, or so. Yeah. And I actually, the way I met my mentor, Rebecca Moravec, was because of my friend Sue. I always talk about my friend Sue, who asked me if I wanted to take a Reiki class. And I didn't know what Reiki was.
Right.
And I just really wanted to share time with my friend. And we would be traveling down to southern Wisconsin, so it would be an overnight stay. And that's how I met Rebecca. I thought it was reflexology that we were taking, and I didn't really want to do work on the feet, but not that there's anything wrong with reflexology, right. But I was really happy when I found out that it was Reiki.
Yep.
And so from there, I took every class that my mentor was teaching, and I spent at least 10 years with her. She taught me animal communication and Reiki, and I did 2 years of shamanic journey work. So we did a lot of soul retrieval and past life regression, going to the Akashic records, and then the lower world to find our totem animals, things like that just really helped to open that space for me to know that I can do this and really exercise that muscle. That's really what it's all about, is just exercising that muscle, opening our hearts and our minds to this, and remembering that yes, we do this.
Amazing. I'm really glad that you brought up that you felt you could do this you did do this as a little girl, and then you kind of turned down the volume and you weren't sure if you were crazy or not. Because a big part of why we do this podcast is to validate people's lived experiences so that they know that they're not out of their minds when things like this happen. So I appreciate you sharing that was a part of your story. So I feel like we've already gotten a little taste of how this can be helpful and for whom, but I wondered if you had anything more to say about that. How can animal spirit talking or communicating with animals be helpful, and for whom? And I'm sure you've seen so many different ways. So if you would just like to share some of that.
I come with a frame of mind that we're helping the animals. Lately I've been seeing a lot of animal clients, and they're my clients also. I call them my humans and my animals. I've seen a lot of anxiety in the animals lately, and so we do a lot of work around releasing anxiety. I've done a lot of work with helping them when they're moving, when their families are moving, helping them to know where they're going, and that they're not going to be left behind, that they're coming along. When people go on vacation, a lot of times, and maybe they're kenneling their dog, I'll check in with them while their humans are on vacation and just see how they're doing.
I know we've done that.
Your mom actually.
My family has done that.
Your mom actually started me on with that.
Yeah, and it's been wonderful for our family and our dog, and I think that you've been doing that since then.
Yes, I have. And so now I have 3-session check-in package where I've been actually working with animals, a lot of animals with anxiety, or I have a dog right now who doesn't feel like eating, and so we're helping them to
Like while he's in the kennel or at camp
just
or
at
just
home,
in general?
Yeah,
Okay,
and in general,
home,
he just doesn't feel like eating, and
Okay.
so we're helping him. He's adolescent, and we're helping him, regulate his diet. What does he like to eat? I've helped a lot of animals. A lot of times when people are choosing their animal, maybe they're at the Humane Society and they're wondering if this is a good fit. So I talk to both human and animal to see if that's a good fit for them.
Right.
Yeah, there's just so many things, a lot of end-of-life decisions. I've talked to a lot of animals who have passed, and that's really comforting for both humans and animals. And a lot of times what happens during my sessions is I help the humans release pain also.
That's for sure.
And so I always say, through the animals, we help heal the human race.
Yeah.
And so there's just so many reasons that people come to me.
And even when animals might be ill or have an injury or something, I know that you've helped our family with that before, something that we might not understand is what's going on with the animal, but that you can speak to the animal and the animal can tell you where it hurts and what, what.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And then I always have them confirm it at the vet.
Right,
yeah.
of course.
But yeah, there's been a few times when, why is my cat peeing outside the box?
Yep.
A lot of times they don't like the litter.
That's fair.
But there's also times when maybe they have a urinary tract infection or something like that. I've seen where that it hurts.
Right.
And then the vet can determine what that is exactly. But,
right. It's I'm blown away by the just really logical uses for a skill like this in terms of just kind of knowing what's going on with your pets, but also the emotional comfort and releases that can happen. With the session that we just did, just so the listeners know, you communicate with animals that are here with us, still presently on this plane, and you communicate with animals who have passed. So with our session, we were communicating about my dog that I had when I was a child, and she's been passed for 14 years, and there was still some tremendous sadness and guilt that I had around that, even for the last 14 years. And so I wanted to let our listeners know that can be a huge part of this work, is to help release that. And I feel like many of our listeners probably have had pets that they've lost and maybe might need help releasing from that, like I did. I'm excited to share more about my session and my experience in the bonus content for this episode, because it was profound. It is profound. I'm still feeling it now. Lynn, how are you working with animal communication now? What does that look like for you?
Full-time. I'm a full-time telepathic animal communicator.
That's very cool.
It is cool. I'm amazed. I have clients actually all over the country and even overseas. I've helped. I helped one person move her dog from Chicago, Illinois, to Saudi Arabia.
Wow.
And another person from Minnesota, I helped her move her cats to France. So I am in contact with both of those women and their animals. But I literally have clients all over the country. I do half-hour, 45-minute, hour-long sessions generally. People can go to my website, and on my contact page, they can schedule appointments. They'll fill out a pre-session questionnaire so I know who I'm talking to and generally what we're going to have a conversation about. And I just am going from there. I'm just kind of watching it all unfold, and it's just very beautiful, the way it's unfolding. I do the majority of my work distantly, so over the phone. Sometimes I'll do in person with the animal and the people. I enjoy that too, being right with the animals and the people. So I'll do that in person. I travel to Chicago once a month to TLC First Animal Hospital.
Oh, wow.
And do 20-minute sessions back to back to back to back from 9 in the morning till 1:30, and that really exercises the muscle, because
yeah,
it's just nonstop. You got to be on, but I really enjoy it. It's very fun, and then people will bring their animals right there. Yeah, and so I'll talk to them for 20-minute sessions. And
you teach as well?
I do. I teach animal communication, basic animal communication, and advanced animal communication.
I want to take these classes. I just had to say that. I really do.
I teach Reiki level 1, 2, and 3, and I also have other classes like finding your totem animal, or I have a breathwork class that's really nice, that teaching people how to breathe. They're all effective for animal communication.
Wonderful.
Just showing the different routes maybe of how to get to that space in our mind's eye.
Are your classes all here in Door County?
So far, the majority of them are in Door County. However, I'm really looking to travel and teach on the road. So,
Got my wheels turning. Well, first of all, for our listeners who don't know, Door County is in Wisconsin, and it is a beautiful location. If you ever want to travel to take a class with Lynn, it is you will not be disappointed to come to Door County for a class. But second of all, it's getting my wheels turning about maybe getting you out to DC or somewhere else.
that'd be awesome. I would love it. Yeah.
Amazing. Ooh. I briefly just wanted to loop back and say it's wonderful that you can do this work remotely and do distance work. So really anyone listening here could have a session with you with animal communication, and I love that, and that is how it works with energy and many of the modalities that I have highlighted on this podcast, and I'm thrilled that that's something that is available no matter where you are in the world. So I just wanted to highlight that. Is there anything else coming up right now for you that we maybe didn't get to talk about that's present in your mind?
Just really, again, that we're all created this way, that we all can talk to each other telepathically. It's a matter of really connecting with our breath. Our breath is everything. Deep belly breathing is really important, and breathing down, way down. Usually we breathe by default, way up here in our chest. But when connecting with each other and with the animals, to really breathe down deep into the belly. And slowing that breath down and really being mindful of the breath. And that's the way that we all connect. We're all capable of this. It's a matter of just remembering that that's what we do.
I've been hearing so much about breath work lately, and it's something that I am really interested in learning more about. I'm curious, would you be able to give us just like a very short how we should maybe could be breathing better?
So mindfully breathing is something that we can do all the time. When you're at the grocery store, when you're getting out of bed in the morning, it's about just feeling your belly rising and falling. We breathe by default. We have to breathe, but breathe deeply in. Feel your belly rise and fall. Just feel into that, and what does it feel like for you, and where do you feel that breath? Take a few more deep breaths and notice what is happening in your mind. As we breathe this way, the mind clears, the mind chatter disappears, and we're listening to the small, still voice that is our guidance. I always know when I'm talking with the animals, it's a different tone of voice. It's gentle, it's light, it's inquisitive, it's joyful. It's not my normal mind chatter that I have when I'm making a grocery list or doubting myself or telling myself that I didn't do something right, or it's not that. I always know I have the connection when that small, still voice is gentle. And that's the connection. I've shifted away from the left brain, the linear thinking, and into the right brain. In the right brain is where our creative center is, our imagination. Imagination is everything. We've been taught that, first we were taught to use our imagination. That when problem solving, use your imagination. And the next thing that happens, if we have a metaphysical experience, something that is not quite in this realm, that we say, oh, it's just your imagination.
Yes.
And so we're taught that what we're hearing, seeing, thinking, feeling isn't real. when it is.
Right.
And so that's where the confusion lies. Imagination is everything. And in my beginning animal communication classes, I'll say, use your imagination. What would it be like if you actually had a connection with your dog? What would it feel like if? And then when we're breathing that way, with feeling our belly rising and falling, just come into this gentle space. And that's where the conversation is, in that gentle space.
Thank you. Like I said, I've been hearing a lot about breath work. This is something I really want to add to my own personal practice and learn more about. And even just this past 2 minutes of breathing through my belly, I feel so much more calm. Yeah.
Yeah. Whenever I'm moving too fast, or thinking that I'm not doing enough, or I didn't do it right, or that's all that negative self-talk, I know I'm not breathing deeply. I forgot.
Right.
I went back to default.
Yep.
And I start breathing from my belly again.
I want to repattern the default to be belly breathing instead of, because it's always up in my chest now that I think about it, and mostly only to the front.
Right.
And I know that we can actually breathe
expand
more cylindrical all the way around in the back and on the sides. And thank you for that beautiful reminder. So Lynn, finally, how can people reach you? You mentioned a website. What is that? How can we find you?
So my website is Animal Spirit Talker, so www.animalspirittalker.com. And you can go there. You can learn much more about me, how I work more in depth. I have some blogs there that you can read about the stories with the animals. You can sign up for a session on the contact page. Scroll down and there's a button that says schedule a private animal communication session. Click there, it'll take you right to my calendar, and that'll prompt you to the pre-session questionnaire. So it's all laid out, hopefully easily.
I'm sure.
Also, my classes are listed. My calendar is there. So yeah, there's a lot of information. You can find me on Facebook.
Excellent.
I'm on Facebook
as Animal Spirit Talker.
As Healing Through the Animals. I couldn't get the link. Animal Spirit Talker.
Sure.
But you can find me on Facebook also.
Perfect. And for our listeners, we will have all of Lynn Schuster's information up on our website, letsgetmeta.com. So you can also look there. Lynn, I am just so happy that we found our time and that this is it. Thank you so much. I feel so many things. I feel so much energy in this episode and in our session before the interview. So,
well, thank you so much for inviting me to your show. It's been a pleasure and an honor, and I can't wait to listen to more of your episodes. You have a really great thing going here.
Thank you. Thank you.
There is a part of my heart that I know I locked away after my dog passed away, and it's been like that for years, and I knew it, but Lynn was able to open up that piece that I had locked away during our session before this interview, and I'm just completely grateful to her for this. I know that she's helped many, many others and their animals in this way. If you're interested in hearing more about my session with Lynn, please consider becoming a patron of ours on Patreon, and you can find that at www.patreon.com/letsgetmeta. I hope you enjoyed the episode today. Before we sign off, I wanted to let you know about an opportunity coming up. My partner Julia and I are launching a course called Realize Your Highness. This is a course to advance and integrate your awakening experiences. This is an 8-week online intensive for folks who are in the process of waking up and are understanding more about the unseen world and more about their truest, authentic expression and want to keep that continuing. Realize Your Highness is for folks who are looking to level up. People who are ready to step into their high self and are willing to transform their lives to do so. It is led by me and my partner Julia, who has 10 years of experience with plant medicine, awakening, and integration, as well as experience with Tantra and Kundalini awakenings. Between the two of us, we have spent over 20 years and $100,000 in transformational study and trainings, and our program reflects the best of these tools. We act as a support team to ground and integrate the higher vibrations and wisdom received during your awakening processes into daily life, all while providing access to the Realize Your Highness community of folks on the same highness journey. We first led this course over the summer with great success, and our next one starts on October 28th of this year. So if this interests you, please check us out for more information at www.realizeyourhighness.com. We are seeking the most fully aligned clients possible for this course, and I know that you, as a listener of Let's Get Metaphysical, might be one of those people, or most likely you know someone who this course might be perfect for. If that's the case, please do share the information. We are looking to form a very high vibrational, loving growth community with this course starting on October 28th. Come check us out at www.realizeyourhighness.com.
We hope you enjoyed this episode. You can find more information about Lynn Schuster at www.animalspirittalker.com. In our next episode, Ren speaks with Catherine Krupka about spiritual response therapy, or SRT. If you're enjoying Let's Get Metaphysical and want to help us keep making new episodes, join us on Patreon at patreon.com/letsgetmeta. This show is entirely listener-supported, and we appreciate all the help from our patrons so far as we continue to make our first season of shows. Let's Get Meta is a production of the Hana Healing Arts Network. The show's host is Renata Maniaci. Audio editing and production by Zoe Ravenwood of Hatfish Digital Media. The voice of the credits is me, Aries. Thanks so much for listening.